I already opened Xcode. This all the code that I type in my previous tutorial, and I also opened the same project using our Visual Studio Code, which is pretty brilliant, lightweight editor. The reason I use that simultaneously is that I want to use the help of a Copilot in order to do this auto completion as well as suggestion things. Yeah, you got to go with the tide, go with the flow of the artificial intelligence and make it work for you. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, so a brief tour of what we have left. So if you haven't seen my previous tutorial, I strongly recommend that you watch this playlist. Just go to my YouTube homepage and click playlist and search Augmented Reality AR, and you can get the playlist, and you know how this code, what does this code mean. If you don't want to watch it, don't worry, I will quickly go through it. Okay, but I strongly recommend that you pick up where we left. So we got content view, we got to make a UI, basically just generates a plane as well as the thing that we put on the plane, which is just some cube. Okay, and add the coordinator. We use our tab gesture recognizer to recognize the tab, and we got a raycast to sort of intersect with the horizontal plane, estimated plane, and we got a lot of results, and we grab our first results and add anchor entity as a generator box, add a box entity, and we give that box entity a physical body, and we generate a collision shape. We sort of enclose that sort of like a collider sort of thing, and we put a position. Okay, but we're going to change the code based on this video's requirements, and we're going to add the sort of like a subscribe detector. So when something happens, when the collision actually happens, I'm going to send a signal and maybe to control the color, so you can actually see when the collide happens. And when the collide is over, there is no collision happens, and I'm going to change the color back to its original color. Okay. And in order to make this box entity called a sort of a collision detector, we need to add a collision component to it. So you can sort of treat it as a sort of a collider in Unity, but if you haven't done the Unity development, don't worry about that. This is just a different words, different name, the different engine or different platform give to a same thing. Basically, you want to engulf this collider around this box, so you can actually detect when the collision happens. And of course, you can use it as a trigger or as actually collider. So if you use it as an actual collider, you will collide with other things. If you use it as a trigger, you can say that when you collide, you do not actually collide, but you trigger the trigger means that you just send a signal to a third party or any places that you want to send, and you can change something. Just send a signal. Say if you collide that, you will enter a new stage. If you collide that, you add some points. If you collide that, you change the color. It's all the same. Just a trigger. Okay. So it's widely used in game development. And by the way, if you are interested, I also got game developments using Unity tutorial that you can check that out. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I really need that. Thank you so much. So let's continue. We need to change this box entity, and I'm going to add the collision to it. So collision. Okay. And collision will be our, did I spell collision correct? Yeah, collision component. Yeah, that's perfect. So we got the collision components. Copilot just suggests that for me. Collision components, shape, and we got the shape resources, generate a box. Yeah, pretty good. And there's nothing. Yeah, we got more suggestion coming up. Yeah, I think I'm going to go with this one because they got a pretty detailed shape, width, height, and depth. And we got this model, default model, and we got a filter default. Let's just use that, but I'm going to show you guys what does all this option mean. So the width and height and depth is just yeah, 3D space, and of course you can you can adjust that according to the size of the box. Right now it's open 1, so open 1 is pretty good. So if this is open 2, you should change that to open 2. This is a pretty standard box, so the width and height and depth is the same, so you don't need to worry about that. Modes, here is the place where we need to pay special attention to. We can change a lot, and there's no prompt. So what I'm going to do is to save it here and go back to Xcode and see whether they got a pop-up. I really need the pop-up in order to show you guys. And we don't have the pop-up. I think maybe because I did not connect the physical device. Let me just connect that. Okay, as I expected, this is because I haven't connected the physical device at that time. Right now I already connect my iPhone here, so I can just change that and it will give me some prompt. Okay, so the mode, if you got a dot here, we got a default as well as a trigger. So default collision object or trigger collision object. Right now I'm going to use trigger because I'm going to use that to send signal, because you can already collide. Okay, so I'm going to use the trigger. And filter, let me just show you guys. Sometimes the prompt can give you some of the suggestion. Okay, so default collision filter or sensor. Right, so if you look at here, a collision filter for an entity that collides with everything. We really like to collide with everything. Right now, but in later video I'm going to say you are only allowed to collide with certain thing. Right now let me just use a sensor for that, so it's much simpler. Okay, so Command B to build it, and hopefully nothing wrong with that. Yeah, pretty good. So once nothing wrong with it, because I'm no longer use this pop-up, so let's go back to here. So it will just automatically become trigger as well as sensor. And the next step is a little bit hard to understand, but just bear with me. And of course, you can use the help of Copilot. So yeah, don't worry about it, because every collision in your augmented reality world, you have a lot of entities that bump into each other. Right? You tap that, you got a gesture, you generate a cube, and that cube will just falling down to the ground, and it will touch the plane, the floor plane, and we will just have a collision. And if you tap it again, another new cube generated, even though your camera just slightly change position. So even though you set at the sensor position generated, but still you will move a little bit, and then you will hit the original cube, and maybe you hit the plane again and bounce it down to the embassies. But as you guys can see, it's a pretty complex process, and it will involve a lot of collisions. So I'm going to use a array to sort of store these collisions, and this is a little like jargon. We used subscribe to do that, and that's because if you got the scene view.thing.subscribe, you can listen to this sort of a collision event, and you can record the event begin and the ending of that event. Just bear with me because I'm going to type it out later. Right now I just need a placeholder to store that, so I'm going to var a concept, any concept that let me specific say that is the collision sub. Collision sub is just a subscription for short sub, right? And the ending cancelable, yeah, I'm not. Let's just manually type that because compiler does not automatically generate that. I'm going to store all the cancelable inside of the array. So, okay, so just store all the cancelable in the array, and so we got the collision sub, okay, and then we can have that collision sub by recording. Remember, we got this, we got view here, right? And we can record the collision event inside of this scene. So scene, and it's not at anchor. I'm going to subscribe. Okay, subscribe. Subscribe to collision began self. Yeah, I think that's pretty brilliant. Began self and events in print. Let's look at all the suggestions. Okay, this is a pretty good suggestion, but let's edit it a little bit. To collision event. Yeah, and began. Remember, it's began, not begin. Began because it already began, past tense, right? And self on. We don't need this. We want to generalize it. So we don't not to specify that. And event in and store collision. Yeah, let's just get rid of all that. I'm going to achieve that step by step. Okay, so I just got a sort of a boilerplate code here, and this records the events of yeah, of course, collision events, the beginning part of the collision event, and of course I'm going to paste that, and this will be ending. So the same thing goes for the ending, but you need to adjust the began to end it. Remember, it's all past tense. It's just how the API are called. Okay, so if you ask me why name this way, you need to ask author of Apple's RealityKit. Okay, so yeah, this basically this line of code record the collision began event, and this part of code record the collision ended. And right now does not have any meaning. It's just to record that, but you never sort of write that collision down. Remember, we got a placeholder here. We got a collision sub. So this sub will be a storage space to store all these subscriptions. Okay, so we got subscribe. Okay, so we get a certain value here, and I'm going to append that value to our collision sub, right? We choose that. Collision sub is the right, so we can append to it, and I'm going to enclose everything else inside of append, and of course we can use the them method to append the end of the event. So append everything else. Okay. So once you finish that, you are going to change something. Okay, so I think the most obvious thing to do is to change the material of the cube, the box that we generated. I prefer to call that the cube. Deeper into the Apple's RealityKit and the Augmented Reality, you will use a lot of custom this your own asset, or you need to import asset in. So yeah, I prefer building a basic structure for achieve the basic functionality and logic of our app, and then build the asset outside, and then export that to USDZ. And I already made some videos about how to export and import your customizable model from say Blender to your app. Okay, so yeah, this is my preferred workflow. Yeah, so yeah, and then let's just change the color. I think it's the most yeah, simple thing that we can do. So let's continue to change the box entity, right? So box entity, and we can remove from parent. So that's not what I want to do, but I think I can get the model material. Yeah, but instead of just doing it in this component, let's just using Xcode to do that, because the Xcode can give me more prompt to choose from. And event in, and I'm going to get you the box entity and dot. Let me see the prompt, so you guys can see all this stuff. Yeah, pretty strange to not give you prompt. So I think it's pretty unstable. It should give me some prompt. Maybe I need to build that. Expect a member name following. But you do not. Yeah. So we can add in a self anchor, collision, children, components, disabled. And yeah, I can even got model, the model component of the entity. We got name, we can change the name, we can change all that. Yeah, so you can choose a lot of it thing from it. So let me just access the model, and of course then you can have a material mesh. You can even change the mesh. Okay, so let's just change material. Also, because as I said, I just want to change the color of it, but whole mesh as well. So let's use Copilot to speed up things a little bit. Simple material color red is metallic true. So yeah, so let's look at the default color is yellow, right? So if there is a collision, it will just become red, because red means dangerous, right? So it's a collide, it's red. And of course, it's a metallic. Okay, I think that's pretty good. And when the collision ended, I'm going to grab this box entity, not NPC, but box entity, model material, and yeah, then turn it back to yellow. I think that's pretty good. So because yellow is the default color, so turn back, and of course metallic. Yeah, I think that's pretty good. And let's test it out. Okay, sorry about that. Around that there is a arrow, so there's no initializer. It should be initialized by using this rather than this command. So Command B, and hopefully it will run smoothly. That's a good sign. Okay, build successful. Let's test it out. Alright, we got a cube here, and it's yellow. And let's add something. Okay, let's add that. You can see every time it bounced, this color just changed to red. Okay, so let's add more so you guys can see. Let's add a lot of cube. So every time they got collide together, just change that to okay, change that to red. Okay, red and back. Adding that red and back, red and back, red and back. Yeah, I think that's pretty good. I'm going to add a lot so you guys can see more drastic changes. Okay, so when everything stabilizes, just go back to yellow, but when I tap it, just one, then becomes red and then back. Okay, so yeah, that's pretty good. And let's test whether I can change the mesh as well. Okay, yeah, I'm going to play around a little bit to make something like magic happen. So instead of just changing the color, I want to change the whole box entity. Okay, so I'm going to grab that box entity and change the mesh altogether. So when you fall down, it's just it's like a cube, but I want to it become a sphere. Okay, so when the collision happens, instead of just changing the color, I'm going to make this box entity dot model. First, we need to grab it, of course, and then I'm going to change the mesh as well. So that mesh will generate, instead of generate box, let me generate sphere. So let's just delete the box, but say, hey, I'd like to get a sphere. Come on, auto completion. Sphere. Okay, and the radius on previous box is 0.1. Radius, let me think. Maybe just become pretty big. Sphere, right? Like pretty big ball. What about smaller? Yeah, just twice the size. And then when everything ended, yeah, just change. Yeah, let's just leave this here. So just to stick with the sphere. Okay, so let's try this out. Okay, let's play around with it. We got this playing ready. Tap it. Yeah, pretty good. When you see there's a cube falling down, but when it touches the ground, become a pretty big ball. It's pretty good. And as you guys can see, this part of it was synced to the plane because you changed the mesh, but you did not change the box size. So if you want to fix the bug, you can do something like this. If you want to fix a bug, you just change the radius to the same as the size of the of the golden cube, and then I think maybe we can change the color as well. So we can do that at the same time. So model, material, super material. So when you fall down, it's yellow, and then you hit the ground, it becomes red, metallic. And then when everything finished, just become yellow. So you can sort of flickering. Yeah, let's just do that. And okay, let's test it out. So it's originally yellow. There is no collision detected. Active collision, of course. So if everything is stable, just go back. And if I tap it, it'll be a cube, and then you can see the flickering red, and when everything's stable, just become yellow. Yeah, let me do something crazy by tapping a lot, so you guys can see the flickering. Yeah, I think sorry about that. I haven't got the QuickTime Player out. So yeah, sorry about that. And let me tap it. Okay, so if I tap multiple times, it just become a cube coming down and flickering, right? If there is cube coming down, then flickering to red, and then go back to yellow. Right, that's pretty good. And yeah, as you guys can see, it can become pretty versatile with a few lines of code. Alright guys, so I think we already set out what we intend to do.